Once thought of as myths by the galaxy, their fleet finally came. For hundreds of years, people across the galaxy had laughed at the stories. They said humanity was gone long ago, wiped out by its own wars or lost to some distant disaster. Some called humans a myth, a legend that never really existed. Children grew up hearing tales of brave human explorers who could fly ships faster than light, who built massive machines, and who fought with courage that no other species could match. But in the councils of the galaxy, in the halls of the Illyrians and the Korth Dominion, the word human was whispered only as a joke. Ethan Cole, an ambassador from Earth's old colonies, had grown tired of hearing the jokes. He worked on Velaris Station, a large trading hub far from the center of the galaxy. Velaris was alive with color, noise, and strange smells. Ships of every kind moved in and out of the massive docking bays, and traders from many species shouted in dozens of languages. Ethan walked through the crowded corridors with a calm smile, though his mind often wandered. He liked to study old maps, charts of stars that humans had explored long ago. He wondered if any of the stories about Earth and its people could still be true. On the upper decks of Velaris Station, Commander Maya Brooks watched her monitors. She was in charge of the station's defense wing, and the quiet hum of sensors and alarms filled her office. Recently, she had noticed strange signals coming from the outer edge of the system, near the Uit boundary. At first, she thought they were just glitches in the instruments, but the patterns were too organized, too precise. They looked like something moving through space on purpose. Maya frowned and called Captain Daniel Hayes to her office. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a display. "These readings, they match nothing in the database, not even the old human maps." Daniel leaned over her shoulder. He was older, practical, and usually calm. "Probably solar interference," he said. "These instruments can pick up all kinds of strange things. Don't get your hopes up." But Maya did not feel hope. She felt curiosity mixed with unease. Something was out there, and it was moving toward the station. Meanwhile, in the library archives, Olivia Grant, the council's archivist, worked late into the night. Her office smelled of old paper and machine oil. She had found something hidden in the classified files. A file named Sol Evacuation Protocol. The words were old and written in an early Terran code. When Olivia decrypted them, she saw something that made her heart beat faster. Humanity had not vanished. They had left. The file described fleets of ships leaving the blue planet called Earth, scattering across the galaxy to survive. The galaxy had believed humans were gone, but the record said they were out there, somewhere, still alive, still learning, still fighting. Ethan often met with Olivia to discuss old records. She showed him the file, and his eyes widened. "So, humans are not myths," he whispered. "Apparently not," Olivia said. "But no one else can know. If the Council finds out, it will cause panic. The galaxy is not ready for this." As they spoke, trading lanes in the Perseus corridor began to experience problems. Ships were disappearing without warning. Some were torn apart by something no one could see, no one could track. Rumors spread quickly. The Korth Dominion blamed pirates. The Illyrians feared some unknown alien attack. Traders whispered of a shadow in space that swallowed ships whole. Then the long-range arrays detected something that could not be ignored. Hundreds of synchronized warp ruptures appeared beyond the edge of the system. They were perfect, precise, and unlike anything natural. The readings were unmistakable. Something had come back. Something that many had believed only existed in stories. Ethan watched the data streams from his office as Maya and Daniel argued over their next steps. "We need to alert the Council," Daniel said finally. "This isn't a drill. We have no idea what this is." Maya nodded. "I don't like it, but I agree. This could be dangerous." The warp ruptures grew larger, forming lines and patterns in space that made no sense at first. They seemed almost organized, almost alive. That night, Olivia stayed in her office longer than usual. She could not stop thinking about the Sol Evacuation Protocol. Humanity had left the galaxy for a reason, and now it seemed they were returning. She had read enough histories to know one thing: humans never returned without purpose. In a small observation room overlooking Velaris Station, Ethan and Maya stood together. Through the viewport, they could see faint blue distortions at the edge of the system. It looked like tiny ripples in space, but these ripples moved in perfect patterns, forming shapes that no one had seen before. "They are coming," Ethan said softly. Maya looked at him, worry in her eyes. "But why now? Why here?" Ethan shook his head. "I don't know." But whatever it is, it's not a natural thing. Not a comet, not an asteroid. Something is alive, and it's very big. The next morning, alarms blared across the station. Scouts sent to investigate the outer edge of the system reported a sight no one could believe. Enormous shapes, hundreds of them, were moving toward Velaris. Their forms were strange but familiar. Ships, yes, but unlike anything in the current records. Their designs reminded old historians of human fleets described in stories. Stories people had long thought were myths. Captain Daniel Hayes called an emergency meeting with the council delegates on Velaris. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Voices rose in panic. "What is it?" the Korth delegate demanded. "A new war fleet." The Illyrian scholar whispered, "Could it be the humans?" Everyone laughed, thinking it was a joke. The stories of humans had long been considered fairy tales, but Ethan and Olivia exchanged glances. Neither of them laughed. They knew the truth. Maya Brooks continued monitoring the fleet. Sensors showed the ships moving as if they were one being, coordinated perfectly. They were huge. Their energy signatures shone bright enough to disturb the readings of the station, and then, from the largest ship, a signal emerged. It was ancient Terran, almost forgotten by everyone. Admiral Lucas Carter's voice filled the council chambers, translated into dozens of languages. "We are the Sol Expeditionary Armada. We have returned." Silence fell. Every species in the room froze. The myth had come alive. Humanity was real. Ethan felt his heart pound. He had spent years studying old records, listening to stories, and wondering if there was any truth in them. Now it was no longer a story. It was happening before his eyes. Olivia wrote quickly in her archive tablet. "The galaxy will remember this," she said quietly. "At last the humans have returned." Maya adjusted the station's defense systems, her hands shaking slightly. She had prepared for pirates, for smugglers, for accidents in the warp lanes. But this was different. This was something no one had faced before. As the human fleet moved closer, its size became clear. Thousands of ships, stretching across the black of space like stars themselves, reflected the sunlight in dazzling patterns. They were not just returning. They were coming with a purpose. The council argued about what to do next. Some wanted to attack, fearing the unknown. Others suggested diplomacy, hoping the humans were friendly. Ethan knew the truth in his heart. The humans did not come for conquest. They never had. They came to protect, to survive, and to show the galaxy that the stories of old were real. And now, after centuries of being forgotten, humanity was back. The myths were alive. Maya watched the massive ships through the viewport, her mind racing. "Whatever comes next," she said, "we cannot fight them. We must learn from them." Ethan nodded, staring at the brilliant fleet. "And maybe," he whispered, "we will finally understand what it means to be human." Far beyond Velaris Station, the Sol Expeditionary Armada moved in silence, their engines glowing softly. They were vast, disciplined, and terrifyingly precise. But in their eyes, there was no anger. There was only purpose. The galaxy had doubted them for too long. Now it would see the truth. The fleet continued to approach. Every ship, every crew member, every weapon had a reason. And when the humans finally arrived, the galaxy would never be the same again. The human fleet moved slowly but with purpose, stretching across the darkness of space. Their ships were huge, glowing with soft blue energy that made them look alive. Each ship was different from the next, but all shared the same design: smooth hulls, sharp edges, and lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Many of the council members had never seen technology like this. Even the Illyrians, who prided themselves on knowledge of the stars, stared in awe. On Velaris Station, Ethan Cole stood at the main observation deck, watching the ships glide closer. He felt a strange mix of fear and wonder. "They are not attacking," he whispered to Maya Brooks, who stood beside him, her arms crossed. "They are showing themselves." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving the viewport. "I don't know if I trust them yet," she said, "but I know we cannot fight them." Captain Daniel Hayes called an emergency meeting with the council delegates. The room was tense. Representatives from dozens of species sat around a large table, their faces anxious. Some tapped fingers nervously, others whispered to each other. Every eye was on the large viewports showing the human fleet approaching. The Korth delegate, a tall, armored figure named Varn, slammed his fist on the table. "They are too big, too organized. We must attack before they reach the system," he shouted. The Illyrian scholar, a quiet, thin creature named Lyran, shook his head. No, attacking them would be a mistake. The humans, they are not like us. I have studied their old history. They were protectors, not conquerors. Ethan cleared his throat. I agree with Lyran, he said. The humans never came to take anything. They left the galaxy to survive. Now they are back. I think they are here to protect, not destroy. Varn growled, but the other delegates stayed silent. The council could not agree. Fear was stronger than hope. Suddenly, a large projection appeared above the council table. It was a hologram of a man in dark uniform. His face was calm, strong, and serious. He looked older than most humans, but his eyes held energy and confidence. He spoke in Terran, but the translator made his words clear in every language in the room. We are the Sol Expeditionary Armada, he said. We have returned after centuries of exile. Our mission is protection. We come to ensure that no world suffers as Earth once did. We are not here to conquer. We are here to defend. Do not fear us. The room fell silent. No one moved. The words echoed in the chamber like thunder. It was clear. These were humans, real humans, and they had not forgotten the galaxy. Ethan's hands shook slightly as he whispered to Olivia Grant. This is incredible. They are real. All the stories, everything was true. Olivia nodded, her eyes wide. And they are organized. Look at the fleet. It is like one living organism. Every ship moves in perfect coordination. Maya Brooks returned to her station and began analyzing the fleet's movement. Their formation is incredible, she said. No enemy I have ever faced could move like this. It is not just coordination. It is intelligence shared across the entire fleet. Daniel Hayes frowned. We need to understand them before we act. Any wrong move could start a war. As the fleet moved closer, Ethan noticed small shuttles leaving the larger ships. They glided quietly toward Velaris Station, glowing softly like fireflies. Maya ordered the station's defenses to track them carefully, but she did not fire. These humans did not seem hostile. The first shuttle docked at the station smoothly. A ramp extended and a group of humans walked out. They wore dark uniforms with light lines running across their suits. Their eyes were calm and their movements were precise. They did not rush, but they carried authority in their steps. Admiral Lucas Carter, the same man in the hologram, led them. He stopped at the center of the observation deck and raised his hand in greeting. We come in peace, he said in clear Terran. The translator repeated his words in all the species' languages. The council members stared in silence. Ethan stepped forward, his heart pounding. I am Ethan Cole, he said. I am an ambassador for the former human colonies. We welcome you. Admiral Carter nodded. Thank you, Ambassador. We have traveled far. We wish to speak with the council to explain why we have returned. The Illyrian scholar, Lyran, whispered to the Korth delegate. Perhaps we should listen first. We may learn more than we fear. Varn, the Korth delegate, gritted his teeth but said nothing. The room was tense, but they allowed the humans to continue. Admiral Carter gestured to a large projection of the galaxy behind him. Long ago, humanity was believed to be extinct. Earth was lost to the Void Swarm, an extragalactic enemy that destroyed everything in its path. Humanity scattered into the galaxy to survive, to learn, and to grow stronger. We have returned because the Void Swarm has followed us back. We have come to protect, not to conquer. A murmur ran through the council members. The Korth were skeptical, but even they could not deny the fear in Carter's words. The Void Swarm was known across the galaxy as a force of pure destruction. Many civilizations had already fallen to it. Ethan listened carefully. So humanity has been preparing all this time, he said softly to Maya. They left not to hide but to grow strong enough to fight the swarm. Maya nodded. And now the swarm is here. Outside the station, the first signs of the Void Swarm appeared. Strange, black shapes moved in the distance, almost invisible against the darkness of space. They were not ships, not machines, but living creatures, covered in shifting armor and glowing eyes. Their forms twisted and pulsed as they moved, consuming everything in their path. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. They're here, he whispered. Admiral Carter raised his hand. We have prepared for this. The fleet is ready. We will defend this system and every life within it. Maya ordered the station's defense grid to stand down. Let them handle this, she said quietly. We cannot fight like this. We are not ready. The human fleet shifted into combat formation. Ships moved with perfect precision, their lights pulsing in rhythm with each other. Smaller craft flew out from the main fleet, intercepting the first swarm vessels. Blue energy beams lit up the darkness as the humans attacked with precision and strength. The swarm responded, sending long tendrils of black energy toward the station. Shields flared, but the humans moved faster. They struck the swarm vessels, dismantling them with controlled bursts. It was like watching a dance, fast, deadly, and beautiful. Ethan and Maya watched in awe. "They are incredible," Ethan said. "We have never seen technology like this, or strategy like this." Olivia, recording the event for the archives, whispered, "They have trained for centuries. They are not just humans, they are a force of nature." Admiral Carter's voice came over the station comms. "Ethan, Maya, ensure that civilian ships are evacuated. We will handle the swarm. Stay calm and trust our methods." As they followed the instructions, the council members finally realized the truth. The humans were not myths. They were real, and they were here to protect. The battle continued for hours. Human ships moved like one living organism, striking, retreating, and restriking. The swarm attacked fiercely, but every attack was countered with precision. The humans were careful. They did not destroy more than they needed. They focused only on the threat. Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. Ships that had been thought to be lost in history now fought in the present. Children's stories of heroism were real. The myths had come alive. Maya observed the human commanders coordinating through neural links. "They think as one," she said quietly. "Their minds are connected. That is why they are so fast and precise. They are beyond anything we know." Olivia wrote furiously in her archive tablet. "The galaxy must learn this history. Humans were not just survivors. They were guardians." As the first wave of the Void swarm retreated, the humans regrouped. Their fleet formed a barrier around Velaris Station, shielding it from further attacks. Blue light from their energy shields reflected across the station, bathing it in a soft glow. Admiral Carter appeared again on the hologram. "We will not let any world fall while we are here. We have returned to protect. The swarm will be driven back and life will be preserved." "You are safe for now." The council members finally understood. Fear was still there, but so was respect. They had underestimated humanity for centuries. They had thought the stories were just myths. Now they saw the truth. Ethan felt hope rise in his chest. "They saved us," he said softly. "We are witnessing history." Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. "Yes, and we must help them however we can. Humanity did not return to fight alone. They returned to lead." Olivia finished her notes. "The archives will record this moment. The galaxy will never forget." Outside, the human fleet held the line. The swarm retreated into the dark, leaving only silence behind. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had seen the humans not as myths, but as legends come alive. Ethan, Maya, and Olivia watched the glowing ships, their minds full of questions. Who were these humans, really? What else had they learned in the centuries they were gone? And what would happen next, now that the legends had returned? One thing was certain: the galaxy had changed forever. The humans were back, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The battle had begun. The human fleet stretched across the blackness of space, a wall of glowing ships moving with calm precision. Velaris Station was behind them, safe under their protection. The swarm advanced from the darkness, countless tendrils of black energy and sharp shapes writhing in the void. Every creature in the swarm was alive, and each seemed hungry for destruction. Commander Maya Brooks watched from the station's control room. She had seen many battles, but this was different. These humans fought as one. Ships moved in ways that no one else could match. Blue energy arcs lit the darkness as human vessels struck the swarm and vanished before the enemy could respond. The precision was terrifying. Ethan Cole stood beside her, unable to take his eyes off the fleet. "It's like they know what the swarm will do before it does it," he said. "How is that possible?" Olivia Grant, recording every movement for the archives, shook her head. "They have been preparing for this for centuries. Humans are faster, stronger, and smarter than anyone imagined. They learned everything they could while they were gone." Outside the station, the swarm sent its first wave against the humans. Black tendrils lashed out at the fleet, striking ships with terrible force. Explosions erupted, lighting up space with flashes of green and red. The humans did not panic. They moved around the attacks with perfect timing, their shields bending the energy away, their weapons striking back in controlled bursts. Ethan saw one human ship, a cruiser the size of a small moon, glide into the middle of the attack. Energy beams erupted from its sides, cutting down the nearest swarm vessels. It was not reckless. Every movement was measured, every attack precise. Maya could not help but speak aloud. They are not just fighting, they are dancing with the swarm. Daniel Hayes, watching beside her, frowned. A dangerous dance, he muttered, but one they control perfectly. Admiral Lucas Carter's voice came over the station comms. All units maintain formation. Protect Velaris Station. Do not let the swarm pass. Focus fire on tendrils approaching inhabited worlds. Civilian lives take priority. Execute strike patterns Beta through Sigma. The fleet obeyed instantly. Smaller ships flew ahead, intercepting tendrils and striking at weak points in the swarm. Medium-sized vessels circled behind, shooting energy beams in sweeping arcs. The largest ships formed a barrier at the center, creating an almost solid wall of glowing power to shield the station. Ethan watched in awe. "I've never seen strategy like this," he said. "They don't just fight, they think as one, every move is coordinated." Olivia nodded. "They must be connected somehow, neural links maybe, or advanced AI, but it is more than technology, it is instinct, discipline. This is humanity at its finest." The swarm responded. A massive wave of tendrils surged forward, twisting and splitting in impossible ways. The human fleet adapted instantly. Ships moved into the paths of the tendrils, deflecting them with shields, while other vessels fired concentrated energy to destroy them. The tendrils were strong, but the humans were stronger. Maya's fingers flew across the controls as she tracked the battle. "Look at their energy patterns," she said. "They are creating zones of control, pushing the swarm where they want it to go. They are guiding the enemy like a shepherd guides sheep." Ethan swallowed. "And Velaris Station is safe. We have never had defense like this." As the battle continued, Admiral Carter ordered a new tactic. "Squads Alpha through Delta prepare for microwarp insertion." Maya blinked. "Microwarp what?" Daniel frowned. "I've heard of it in old human texts. It's dangerous. Short-distance warp jumps inside a combat zone. Ships appear and disappear instantly." From the human fleet, dozens of ships flickered and vanished. Moments later, they appeared deep inside the swarm's lines. Energy beams erupted, striking at the heart of the enemy. The swarm screamed in strange sounds of anger and pain. Ships disintegrated under precise, concentrated attacks. Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. "They are inside the enemy's formation, and they are still alive." Olivia wrote quickly. "The Sol Armada is using tactics no other species has ever seen. Their technology and training have turned them into living weapons, but controlled, disciplined weapons. They are not reckless killers. They are defenders." Maya pressed her hand to her forehead. "And this is only the first wave. They are just warming up." The swarm changed strategy. Massive, planet-sized creatures moved toward Velaris, aiming to destroy the station's sun. If successful, the star would erupt, destroying everything in the system. Panic spread among the council members. Ethan turned to Admiral Carter's image. "They are going for the star," he shouted. Carter's calm voice responded. "We expected this. Prepare Aegis Protocol." Maya's eyes widened. "Aegis Protocol? What is that?" "Stand by and observe," Carter replied. "It will protect the system, but the fleet will be heavily tested." From the human ships, beams of blue light shot toward the sun, forming a lattice of energy around it. Smaller ships linked their shields with the lattice, creating a radiant dome of power. The swarm's planet-sized creature struck the lattice, but the energy held. Sparks and explosions lit the darkness, but the lattice absorbed the attack, preventing the sun from erupting. Ethan felt his chest tighten. "They are stopping it, but at what cost?" Maya's monitor showed several human ships losing power from the energy feedback. Hulls glowed red, and some drifted slowly into the void. Yet even damaged, they remained in formation, holding the line for the safety of Velaris. Olivia whispered, "They are sacrificing themselves to save others. This is what humanity was always meant to be." The swarm hesitated. Its attacks had been blocked, and its tendrils were retreating. But new creatures emerged, blacker and faster than before. The battle intensified. The human fleet adapted again, moving in perfect synchronization, covering each other's weaknesses, striking at every new threat with exact precision. Ethan and Maya watched as one human dreadnought, larger than any other ship in the fleet, launched a series of microwarp strikes. It moved through the swarm like a phantom, destroying tendrils and core vessels with pinpoint accuracy. Other ships followed, creating a chain of destruction that tore through the enemy formation. Daniel shook his head. "I cannot believe this. These humans, they are unstoppable." Maya said quietly, "Not unstoppable. They are disciplined, prepared, and willing to sacrifice. That is why they are strong. The battle lasted for hours. Explosions lit the darkness, blue energy arcs streaked across space, and the screams of the swarm echoed through the comms. But slowly, the humans began to push the enemy back. Every wave of the swarm that attacked was destroyed or driven away. Velaris Station remained untouched. Admiral Carter's voice came over the comms again. All units maintain formation. Focus fire on the remaining swarm clusters. Protect every vessel, every life. We will not let them pass. Ethan turned to Olivia. Do you realize what this means? Humanity has returned not just as a fleet, but as guardians. They are fighting for everyone, not just themselves. Olivia nodded. They have always been like this. That is why they survived. That is why they returned, to protect, to defend, to ensure the galaxy does not suffer as Earth did. Maya pressed a hand to the console. We must learn from them, observe everything, record everything, the tactics, the strategies, every detail. This knowledge could save countless lives in the future. The swarm retreated into the darkness. The human fleet remained in formation, shields still glowing, weapons ready. The sun of Velaris shone safely behind the energy lattice, unscathed. The system had been saved. Ethan, Maya, and Olivia stood together, staring at the glowing human ships. The battle was over, but the story was just beginning. They did it, Ethan said softly. They saved us. They saved Velaris. They saved the galaxy. Maya nodded, exhausted but proud. And they will continue to do so. The Sol Expeditionary Armada is not here to fight for themselves. They are here to protect everyone. Olivia looked at her tablet. History will remember this day. Humanity was once thought to be a myth, a legend. Now they have returned. And the galaxy will never be the same again. Ethan smiled faintly. The myths were real, and they are alive. The human fleet slowly formed a protective ring around the system. Each ship pulsed softly with blue light, a living shield. Outside, the swarm had vanished, retreating to the shadows from which they came. For now, the system was safe. But the galaxy had seen something it would never forget. Humans were back. They were not just survivors. They were defenders, warriors, and guardians. The myths of old had returned in full force. And the story of humanity was only beginning. The battle was over. Velaris Station and its surrounding systems were safe. The void swarm had retreated into the darkness, beaten back by the humans. The fleet remained in orbit, glowing softly like a ring of stars, their ships humming with energy. Every council member, every observer, knew that what had just happened would be remembered for centuries. Humanity was no longer a myth. They were real, and they had returned not to conquer, but to protect. Ethan Cole stood at the observation deck, staring at the massive fleet. His heart still raced from the battle, but a deep sense of relief washed over him. They did it, he said quietly. They saved us all. Commander Maya Brooks stood beside him, arms crossed, her face thoughtful. They did more than that. They showed us what humans are capable of: discipline, courage, strategy, and compassion. They fought not for themselves, but for everyone else. Olivia Grant recorded the scene in her tablet. This will go into the archives. The galaxy will know the truth. Humans were never just legends. They are guardians. The council chamber of Velaris convened once more, but this time the mood was very different. Representatives from dozens of species spoke in hushed, respectful tones. No one laughed or made jokes. They spoke of gratitude, respect, and awe. Admiral Lucas Carter addressed the council from the fleet's main holographic channel. His face was calm, but his eyes reflected the weight of centuries. We have returned not to rule, not to conquer. Our mission is protection. We have fought the swarm here to safeguard life, and we will continue to protect where we are needed. But we cannot act alone. We propose a coalition, a united defense of the galaxy. Together, we can prevent any world from falling as Earth once did. The council members whispered to one another. The idea of a coalition was new. Many species had mistrusted each other for centuries. But the humans had shown that even against overwhelming odds, unity could win. Slowly, nods of agreement spread. The decision was made. Humanity would share its knowledge, technology, and strategies with the galaxy. Ethan felt a sense of pride swell in his chest. He had always believed in the stories, in the myths of humanity. Now, the galaxy itself would believe. The humans had returned, not as conquerors, but as protectors and teachers. Maya returned to the station's control room to oversee repairs and coordination. The station had survived the battle almost untouched. but there were smaller damages to repair. The humans sent teams of engineers and repair drones to assist, working quickly and efficiently. It was another example of their discipline and care. Outside, smaller human ships escorted civilian transports through the system, ensuring that every vessel was safe. Families, traders, and scholars watched in awe as the humans guided them past danger. Children pointed at the glowing ships, eyes wide with wonder. For many of them, this was the first time they had seen a living myth. Ethan met with Admiral Carter aboard the dreadnought. The ship was enormous, a city in space, but it felt alive. The corridors hummed with energy, and the crew moved with a quiet precision that seemed almost otherworldly. Carter stood at a central console, reviewing the fleet's status. "Your fleet is incredible," Ethan said. "I have never seen anything like it." Carter nodded. "We have trained for centuries. Every generation prepared for this moment. The galaxy has changed, and we must be ready to defend it. But we are not here to dominate. We are here to share, to teach, to protect." Ethan looked around at the crew. They were human, yes, but different. Their eyes held a calm focus. Their movements were precise. Some had small enhancements, implants, or suits that augmented their abilities, yet they carried no arrogance, only purpose. Back on Velaris Station, Maya watched the fleet through the main viewport. The humans formed a protective ring around the system, their energy shields glowing like a halo. Even though the swarm had retreated, the humans did not relax. They remained vigilant, their discipline absolute. Olivia spoke quietly to Ethan. The myths never told the full story. Humanity was never just strong. They were careful, patient, and wise. That is why they survived. That is why they returned. Ethan nodded. And now the galaxy can finally learn from them. We were lucky to see this, lucky to live in this time. For days, the humans helped the systems recover. They repaired damaged stations, strengthened planetary defenses, and shared their technology. They taught Velaris engineers how to enhance their shields, how to coordinate fleets, and how to read enemy movements. The skills they shared were advanced, but they explained them simply, carefully, ensuring that every species could understand. Maya was astonished by their patience. "They are not in a rush. They want everyone to learn to grow stronger," she said. "They are teaching, not taking control. That is what makes them different." Ethan spent time with the diplomats, learning from the humans as well. They were courteous, direct, and patient. Even in the presence of dozens of alien species, they spoke with clarity, never raising their voices unnecessarily. But every word carried weight. Admiral Carter called a council meeting after several days. The atmosphere was calm but filled with anticipation. He addressed the delegates, speaking directly to each species. "The swarm is still out there," he said. "They will return if unchecked, but now we can be ready. Humanity will not act alone. We offer our guidance, our knowledge, and our fleet to defend the galaxy. Together, we will form a shield that will hold against any threat." The representatives looked at one another. For centuries, distrust had divided them. But now, seeing the humans in action and seeing what they had done to save Velaris, the council members realized that unity was not just possible, it was necessary. Slowly, they agreed to the coalition. It would be a new beginning for the galaxy, one built on shared defense and cooperation. Ethan felt a sense of hope that he had never known. Humanity had returned to protect, but also to teach. The galaxy would be stronger, safer, and wiser. Maya continued to observe the fleet as it moved through the system, guiding repair crews and escorting ships. She spoke quietly to Ethan. "They are different from anything we imagined, not just strong, but disciplined, patient, and selfless. That is why they survived. That is why they returned." Outside the station, children from many species gathered along the observation decks, pointing at the human ships. Their eyes shone with wonder. Some whispered stories they had heard from parents or teachers. Now they could see the truth. The legends were real. Humans were real. Ethan smiled faintly. "I think the galaxy is ready to remember them now. The myths will never be forgotten again." Days turned into weeks. The fleet remained in the system, maintaining readiness and continuing to teach and repair. The galaxy began to change. Communication networks improved. Fleets coordinated more efficiently. Trade routes became safer. The stories of human heroism spread not as myths but as history. Olivia wrote her final entry in the archives for this period. For centuries, humans were thought to be lost. Their stories were called myths. Now they have returned. They have fought, taught, and protected. The galaxy will remember the Sol Expeditionary Armada not as conquerors, but as guardians. They are the shield between the stars. Ethan stood with Maya one last time on the observation deck before leaving the station. "Do you think they will stay?" he asked. Maya shook her head. "I don't know, but I do know this. Wherever they go, life will be safer. The galaxy will never forget humanity again." Outside, the human fleet glowed softly in orbit, a silent promise to all. They had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. Their ships were more than vessels. They were symbols of hope, courage, and protection. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy knew it was not alone. Humanity was here, alive, and ready. The myths had come true. The fleet slowly moved outward from Velaris, patrolling nearby systems, escorting fleets, and teaching new tactics. Every species began to see humanity not as a legend, but as a living example of strength, wisdom, and compassion. Ethan, Maya, and Olivia watched the ships depart, feeling awe and pride. The humans had returned, and the galaxy would finally remember them for what they truly were: guardians of life, warriors of discipline, and legends that had come alive. As the light of the human fleet faded into the stars, a new era began, one of hope, unity, and protection. One where no species would stand alone, and in every corner of the galaxy whispers spread. The myths were real. Humanity had returned. The galaxy would never be the same again.